It's impossible to overstate the importance, to exaggerate the essential role the Jaguar XE plays in the British brand's present and still unsteady future. This is the volume car the luxury brand hopes will successfully compete with heavyweights like the Audi A4, Mercedes-Benz C-Class, and most important of all, BMW's 3 Series. And so we've come to Britain to test the latest Jaguar, the XE. We're here in the Lake District, home to poets and romantics and nature lovers. The sun is shining, although I wouldn't bet it's going to stay that way. It can get rainy and miserable here at any time. Now, the drive up here was about a 4-hour race up the M1 and the M6. I don't think I did anything illegal, but let's just say I kept up with traffic, which gave me a real sense of the high-speed legs on this car. It's substantial, it's planted, it felt really comfortable keeping up with traffic. Now, the rest of this tour, we're going to go around the Lake District and visit places where Wordsworth, created some wonderful poetry, where Beatrice Potter created Peter Rabbit, and see some other things too. The Lake District in northwest England is one of the most beautiful places you will ever visit, anywhere in the world. Pastoral and mountainous, the Lake District, all 912 square miles of it, is within Lake District Regional Park, so a holiday destination in largely protected land. That's the Lake District. Here you will find many lakes, of course. Lake Windermere is the largest of them and also the largest in all England. There are also forests and mountains, or falls as they're called here. It's been home to poets such as William Wordsworth and other writers, including Beatrix Potter, creator of Peter Rabbit. My tour began at the Lake District's edge, in Kendal, a quaint market town. Here I paused to consider the XE's looks amid the pastoral beauty. The design chief at Jaguar, Ian Callum, he's a Scotsman. He's pretty dogmatic. He pretty much knows what he wants, and he's a bit of a historian within Jaguar. Well, the look of all Jaguars, according to Callum, should be something that represents the sports car vision of Sir William Lyons, and that means vehicles that are purposeful, that have great stance, great proportions, but they're not loaded up with a lot of design flourishes and silliness. They're not Baroque. They're more true to their surroundings, and that's what we have here. This compact Jag is low and sporty with a long wheelbase and short front and rear overhangs. The design is full of interesting elements, some very useful. For example, large front air intakes. You'll also find satin chrome side vents, gloss black side window surrounds, side sills, and a discreet rear spoiler. The wheels, 20-inch forged alloys. The design is aerodynamically efficient too, 0.28 drag coefficient. And most important of all, it's nothing like the old Jaguar X-Type, the low-quality, tarted-up Ford Mondeo with the messy design and suburban performance. Yes, I ran into one in Kendal. No, I ran into actually 2. Jaguar had no choice but to make the XE. It has to get into that volume segment. Oh, but my gosh, the X-Type was such a catastrophe. It was such a destructive vehicle for the brand. This car had to not just meet expectations, and they're very high for this segment, but exceed them, and I think it does. Now, Kendal has its charms, and it's nestled between rolling hills, dotted with livestock feeding, today under blue skies and puffy clouds. But now it was time to get on to Lake Windermere itself, giving me a chance to assess the XE's charms. Okay, from behind the wheel. I like it here. The seats are good. I mean, they hold me in place nicely, and that's what they should do, but I wouldn't say it's remarkable. In fact, I wouldn't say anything about the cabin is particularly remarkable. It all looks a little bit German, but that makes sense. The buyers Jaguar wants to conquest are typically German car buyers. Blackwell House was something quite new and different when it was built in the late 19th century as a holiday home for Sir Edward Holt, a wealthy Manchester brewer. The house overlooks Lake Windermere and was built in the arts and crafts style by Bailey Scott. My tour of the grounds brought me face to face with some very interesting artwork, life-size pieces that I thought might give me nightmares or at least keep me up at night. But it was tea time, so this being England, I took mine outside and enjoyed it with a tasty scone. Lovely. The jam. Next stop, Dove Cottage, home of the poet William Wordsworth. I have to say the XE feels rooted, it feels planted, it feels really solid on the road, and I'm impressed by that. More solid than certainly the Audi A4 and some of the other Germans. The Germans, yes indeed. Along the way, I stopped several times to take notes and take in the aluminum-intensive XE within its beautiful surroundings here in the Lake District. The 3-liter, 340-horsepower V6 in this supercharged R-Sport test car howled with delight every time I buried my right foot. The engine is shared with Jaguar's XF, while the basic underpinnings are shared with not only the XF, but also the F-Pace station wagon. The 8-speed automatic instantly snaps from gear to gear. At Dove Cottage, I pushed through the half-wild garden where William Wordsworth sat and composed poetry on the edge of Grasmere. You know this. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Wordsworth lived here for 9 years with his wife Dora, sister Dorothy, and 3 small children. You must visit it. It's charming and full of memorabilia, the poet's ice skates, his passport, a pair of his reading glasses, and a portrait of one of his favorite dogs, Pepper. From Dove Cottage, I took the XE cross-country to Hilltop, home to Peter Rabbit and his creator, Beatrix Potter. The sights and sounds and smells of the Lake District were enchanting, as you can see. Jag has put some real emphasis on the infotainment and connectivity side of things here. The In-Control Touch Pro system in my tester included a big color touchscreen with an easy-to-manage design interface. Overall, the design suffers from too much German influence. It lacks Lake District charm. And so I arrived at Hilltop, a 17th century house with its random stone walls and slate roof. Beatrix Potter created some of her best known stories here, though she bought it in 1905 with royalties from her first book, The Tale of Benjamin Bunny. I'm sure it's your favorite. She bequeathed it to the National Trust following her death in 1943. With Hilltop done, I turned my sights to London. The twisty roads out of Cumbria gave me time to think about poetry and nature, and of course the XE. Jag, under its Indian owner Tata, has long known it must erase all memory of the X-Type from the public's consciousness. The XE does that, giving it a chance against the big German compact-sized luxury guns, the A4, the C-Class, and the 3 Series. What's that I hear? That's the motorway. It's calling us home. What a great trip through the Lake Country. I mean, it was everything I expected it to be. The car, the XE, exceeded my expectations. Maybe that's because the X-Type before it was such a horrible car, anything would be better. But realistically, what this car represents is a serious threat to the German dominance of this segment. The A4s, the C-Class, the 3 Series, they dominate. Jaguar now has a player, and if you're looking for a car like this, you should test drive this car, maybe through the Lake Country.